Ho, ho,
What the?
ho!
I was not expecting that at all. I'm glad I'm recording this already. I was not prepared for this whatsoever. Where are you in your house
Oh, we're
now?
getting so close to the big day.
How many walls do you have in your house? Every time I see you on camera, it's a different background. It's unbelievable.
My octagonal office, yes. So many corners.
Dude, that was hilarious. That was so good. Wow. I need one of these shirts. I need one of these hats. How do you find a Batman Christmas hat?
Saw it on the shelf and I was just like, we must have this. We cannot let this go unpurchased, So I just figured you gotta keep the comic book festivities going through all the holidays.
Greetings, geeks, and welcome to another installment of Wizard, the podcast guide to comic YouTube series. And we're going to be talking about what are we calling our action figure fury, our dive down our memory lane of action figures we have in our collection. Where Adam and I are going to showcase one figure that we still have in the packaging and another figure that we have out of the packaging, and give a little bit of story about it. I'm Michael, and as always with me is our fearless leader, Adam. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, everybody. Yep, I'm ready to talk some more action figures for sure. In fact, we have the first issue of ToyFare magazine here as a reference. So
Wow.
this one, this is a good as complete as it could be in the day price guide in there to help us out with this segment. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how valuable these items are in our collection can be, or how valuable the memories are if that's all we can pull out of this. So Michael, why don't you go first with your loose figure?
Okay, well, I have to tell you guys, I guess over the years, either my mom threw a lot of my figures away or they got lost in the ethers of moving from my parents' house to apartments to my current home. So I had a really hard time tracking down some of my loose figures. And this one right here does not disappoint. It is a true reflection of my childhood and a true reflection of an action figure that most kids would have the experience of. And what I'm going to do after this video is I'm going to set this thing up and take some professional photographs of this for our social media because it is something that must behold. And not only that, it's missing the suction cup on the hand that does exist.
Wow.
But
it wasn't me. It was the one-armed Spider-Man. Oh, that is rough.
It's not in good shape, but we wanted to kind of go with like a Marvel themed, and this is the only surviving loose Marvel figure that I have. It's this guy right here.
Is there a story behind where the arm went? Do you have any idea why this arm was destroyed?
So I can tell you what happened to the suction cup.
Okay.
And I used to chew on my figures a lot as a kid, and I think I chewed it off. And then the suction cup, on the other hand, I stuck it on my parents' car window on a vacation road trip. And then my sister and I were arguing in the car, and she yanked it and turned it, and it broke. Because the other piece of the arm is still inside of the thing. You can kind of hear it.
Spider Maraca there, yeah.
So that is the background to this Spider-Man figure.
Well, I have to tell you, Michael, so I had the Toy Biz reissue of the Penguin as part of the DC Comics
Mhm.
superheroes line. And I had a friend that came over one time and I couldn't play. My mom wouldn't let me come out. And so I was like, but you could play with some of my action figures if you just want to sit on the stoop of the house, and he did. But he was so mad at me that I wouldn't come out and play that he ripped the arm off of my Penguin. And I was like,
No.
ah, ah. And then my mom had to get wire frame and like all this tape, and she made a new arm for the Penguin. So he had like this
A
cyber,
cybernetic arm.
yeah.
The
It
Terminator arm.
happens. It happens.
That's pretty much. What is your loose figure?
Now, my loose figure is a little bit more complete. So this is a guy who he's very popular in the 90s, pretty much defined 90s comics and cartoons for a lot of people. And that is Petit is Gambit. Yeah, there he is. Now, this is an interesting figure in that, he came with his vinyl cape, right? Which was a very Kenner Star Wars thing to
Mhm.
do. And he also had his signature bow staff here, which never stays in his hand. It always slides through. Like, so the fact that you can keep this for, this many years, that's a hard thing to come by. Now, yeah, this is one of those figures where you kind of had to have it. Like, he was an essential X-Men in the 90s. Everybody loved Gambit. He had his kicking
You didn't
action
have to
there.
have it. I didn't have it.
You didn't. Oh,
No.
wow. Okay. No, so he was one of those guys where, like, nowadays, I think you'd be hard pressed, like you said, kids like you were chewing on the staff. You're gonna rip the cape when you're fighting with your sister. All those things. So the fact that he's still complete is pretty good, and the fact that a lot of them, like when they have a kicking action,
Ooh, he had a
and you
ooh
can
a
actually
kick.
reset it still. So I've taken good care of this guy just because he looks so cool. He's got a little bit of chip paint up front, but otherwise he's just one of those that was just like, yeah, I want to be cool. I want to have Gambit. I got to
I,
brag to my friends.
I feel ashamed that this is what I have to show for it. And you're like, he still has his karate chop action, and he has this, whatever they called it back then. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
All right, well
Oh,
let's talk about our pricing here. Let's see what these ones are worth it in their loose condition. Okay.
okay. I'm not
Now,
I'm not confident in this.
yeah. That was the very first Spider-Man figure by Toy Biz, right? Of their Marvel Superheroes line. It had the suction cups. A lot of people bought that one first, probably some nostalgic value there. I actually have, my pile of Spider-Man behind me. I don't have that one in there, although I had that figure as a kid, right? So, but as I was looking it up, if you were to buy it according to ToyFare back in the day, find it loose at a comic book store, okay? Then it was going for, actually, surprisingly, wait a minute. Oh, there it is. My bad. I was like, wait, that can't be right. The price I was seeing, I was like, I don't think, yeah, it was $6 back
Okay.
in 1997. Okay. So, 7 years later, it had a little bit of value, but basically what you would pay for it, buying it off the shelf. Now,
Okay.
my Gambit figure, I was like, oh, well, everybody loved Gambit, and you find one complete, it's got to be a rare thing. Apparently not the case. So in 1997, my Gambit loose was only worth $2. It was worth
Really?
less than that Spider-Man.
Wow.
I can't
Interesting.
believe Gambit's star fallen so far, right? But nowadays, if we're looking at it, you can actually find your Spider-Man, okay, for $2.99. So
Okay.
yeah, if you need a
Maybe I'll
replacement,
buy a new one then.
yeah. And my Gambit, again, I thought he would have something special going for him here. He goes for about $9.95 loose and complete.
Okay.
But that's because you can get like a boxed version for like 15 or $16.
Oh
Because I
wow.
think a lot of people bought Gambit back in the day. He was
Mm,
popular. He was overproduced. That's why not so
yeah.
much value there.
Gotcha. So I will go with my still boxed figure now. And this figure was one that I did not own as a child, but Jason from the Retro Network sent me a random package over the summer covered in like Batman stickers and stuff like that. And I'm like, who is sending me this package? And I open it, and right on top reveals this guy right here. Well, this lady, I should say.
The
Um, and
royal guy.
yes, exactly. And it's so cool to have this figure. It's when you look at it closely, her head is very misproportioned to her body. Like it's a very tiny head sculpt for the way this body is configured. But overall, it's a very cool figure. It it made me interested in looking into the figures in the back, and especially I loved U.S. Agent as a kid, and there's that Daredevil we talked about recently on an episode of the podcast. And again with the vinyl jacket with the Punisher, like what is that all about?
That one almost has to be the identical one. They probably used the same ones they were making for the Punisher and just applied it to Gambit. They're like, that's
I
how
would
we'll do it.
assume so,
But
yeah.
also mention the picture of the Invisible Woman figure on the back. But how does the head sculpt compare to the actual head sculpt of the figure? Are
So
they the same?
the head sculpt on the back looks significantly larger than the actual head on the figure, and I don't know if it's just the bad photography, but the costume is purple on the back and
Hmm.
blue on the front. Interesting enough.
Now, here's the other thing about this, Michael, because what's the obvious power or special feature of this figure, right? What would you think it would do?
You'd think it would some sort of invisibility or something like that.
Yeah.
No, it has a catapult powered launcher. Uh, Last I checked, she never catapulted anywhere. She may make force fields, sure, or go invisible or put other things invisible, sure, but catapult? I guess they were like, how do we make her invisible? I mean, they could have just made her legs or something translucent or something like that, I guess.
Yeah,
But
they had the Iceman figure they
yeah,
made eventually for X-Men. So now I had that figure as a kid. I had all the Fantastic Four, and I was disappointed by that because it didn't do that. And I thought, oh, they just missed the boat. They didn't get it. Michael, the Vanishing figure existed. It
did
did come out. It
really,
is on eBay. You can find a whole bunch of them. Can't
really,
find them for cheap though. Okay,
oh
like because
really?
I think they were a very limited run. Something must have gone wrong in production. Maybe it didn't work. I don't know what made them change their minds. I'm
Was it like
hoping down the
a
line.
dip in the water kind of thing? Like,
Yeah,
because that was a big thing. Like back in the day, you could dip a Matchbox car, it would change colors or whatever. That was a big thing back then.
yeah. It goes for like 175 to like 200 some dollars if you want to get the Vanishing version in the box.
I'll be all
So
right.
yeah.
I'll live.
Now, for mine, I went back a little bit farther. You could probably see a little bit behind me here. I do have a collection of Venom figures. I do love the black costume in figure form. So I had to go back to the beginning. The
Dude,
Marvel Superhero Secret Wars black costume Spider-Man.
I just saw that on eBay. That thing is worth some money, my friend.
Yeah, so I bought this about 12, 13 years ago. So I've
Wow.
had this for a while, but it was when I was starting up that collection hardcore. Now, as a kid, I had the red and blue Spider-Man, I had
Mhm.
Captain America, I had
Yeah,
Doctor Doom from the set. I didn't know the black costume existed,
neither did
until a
I.
year
Yeah.
later. But it's still, it's still, you can see the little lenticular change there. I don't know
I
if that
can't
comes
believe you
through.
have that. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's cool.
So, but yeah, but this is something that's just, yeah, real special to me because it's that beginning point, right? So I could
Mhm.
literally say from here to here, like you can watch the evolution of the figures in the 90s, including when it became Venom and all of that. So it's very special to me in that regard, just because, yeah, of collectible comics I have, most of them involve the black costume, all those things. So let's talk about, yeah, what's the pricing looking like here? Now, on your Invisible Woman,
I'm gonna guess. Don't even
okay, let's
tell me.
hear it.
$12.
$12. You're saying currently priced at $12.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
in 97, I'm gonna say $8.
this is the crazy thing. You got to flip them. And I don't know why. I do not know why. But in 1997, it was going for $18. And it wasn't the Vanishing one, it was the Catapult one.
Really?
Listed at 18, and it had just risen in price in 1997. So I don't know if something was going on with the Fantastic Four at
Hmm.
that time. Like there was some buzz about them where their figures were rising. But nowadays, yeah, you can find it boxed for like $2 to $7.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's really interesting though. I'm just like, I want to know, what do you deep Fantastic Four fans, Steven Sapellis, tell us, like what was going on
What
with
was
the
happening in the 90s? Why was this valuable then?
yeah. But yeah, so nowadays, or actually going back to my black costume Spider-Man here. So in 1997, priced at $75.
Which is still a
And
lot
just,
for then.
yeah, and that time in the comparison to the red and blue back then was like 35 and this one was 75. So you could say, okay, it was more rare in that
Mm-hmm.
regard. The most expensive one was the Wolverine with the black claws. Like the
Yeah.
main one was silver. And nowadays, like this black claw Wolverine was like the super hard to find one. But trying to find this on eBay these days, yeah, it goes for about $175 to
I
$200.
found one for 600, dude.
Whoa,
I
I got to
saw it
get this
today.
graded. Get it in
I
plastic.
I
Then
saw that
somebody will pay
today because
100 for it. Yeah.
I was researching what this in the box would go for, and that popped up and it said 600, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, hey, if we ever fall on hard times for the podcast, got
No,
something to keep us
I don't want you
afloat.
selling that. I don't want you selling that. Oh boy. I have a question for you though.
Yes.
What is this picture frame next to the big cheese shirt that you have behind you?
Oh, you want to see this? Okay, yeah. My backgrounds. This is a framed copy of the Ray #1 signed by Joe Quesada.
Oh wow,
So
that's
this
cool.
is that my side comic, and then this is an actual poster in the comic stores with a live model dressed as the Ray. I always loved this poster, and so I finally said, well, "Let's put them all together." This is the art. So special, so special.
Pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Oh boy, that was good. That made me laugh. That made me very happy. So this was a very fun installment of our action figure fury live edition, if you will, on YouTube. So check us out as always on Instagram at wizards_comics, on Twitter at wizards comics. Here on YouTube, just look up Wizards Podcast. It'll pop right up. Check us out, subscribe. We've got some really great content. We've got the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, I'm going to call it maxi series of videos that we're pumping out, as well as a bunch of other cool segments like our long box roulette and uh, our first video where Adam loses a bet to me and eats a comic, and we have a lot of cool other stuff coming up. What do we got coming up down the pipe?
Well, okay, so a lot of you are enjoying the log box roulette. We'll definitely keep that going, but I think we also are going to start showing you some gimmick comic book covers in the flesh, right? You want to see what they're really about. We do a lot of descriptions on the podcast, but you want to understand, okay, why would this appeal to somebody if they see it on the rack next to something else? So we're going to try to take you back in time and show you some of the crazier gimmicks that we have in our log boxes.
There
So you
are some
get
crazy
an idea.
gimmicks, I'll tell you that. There's some
Yeah.
crazy gimmicks. So, as always, thank you for watching our videos. Check out our podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, you name it, you can find us. We're also a part of the Retro Network. There's going to be a big special podcast from the Retro Network coming out in December, talking about our various holiday festive things from all the different Retro Network shows. Tons of cool content coming out. Don't forget to check us out. And as always, don't forget to keep your books bagged and boarded.